there's no safety, there's no stability at all in that country right now. And if I was to ask to live in that society and still make a life for myself, it'd be very difficult. So the first thing I want us to understand as youth and as younger kids, we owe our parents a lot. For those of us who have children, who are married, who have smaller kids, who are now beginning our generation, I want us to imagine that us picking up and going to a place like Mongolia, for example, or Japan, or I don't know, Brazil, and settling in that country, you wouldn't do it. It wouldn't even cross your mind. Even if you think your child would be better off in that part of the world, you wouldn't do it. But our parents did that. Our parents worked jobs, they drove taxis, they delivered mail, they did whatever they could to make sure there was food on our table, clothes on our back, and a roof over our head. And if you ask them about stories, they'll tell you horrific stories of how they worked extremely hard and did whatever job they could, security, whatever they could to make sure that we don't leave this part of the world. So first thing I want us to understand and always appreciate is our parents and our elders. But, it's a big but. The problem is, and this is the difficulty that our parents face and that we face as a generation, and I'm leading towards my topic here, so stay with me, please, is that our parents, in their niyat khair and their great intention, maybe didn't stop and realize that I'm coming from a society where Islam is established. Pakistan, India, Iran, Iraq, Islam is established there. There's centers, there's masjids, there's programs. You're coming to the US, you're coming to America, and there isn't any Islam here established. For those of you who have been here since the 80s, the 70s, you know that when you first got here, there was nothing. And the first thing you did was you open up the phone book, any Naqvi, any Rizvi, any Jafri. You call them up and say, are you from Pakistan? Are you from India? Are you a Muslim? What's going on? Where do you guys do this? Where do you do that? You were establishing that Islam in this part of the world. That's why we see that those households that have 4 or 5 kids, you'll always notice that the firstborn or the eldest is a little bit off track. And as you get down the road to the 3rd or 4th child, they're more or less in tune with Islam. Why? Because when that first child was being brought up and raised, our parents had no idea what to do. They were juggling this Eastern culture with a Western society. And in turn, what happened is a whole generation got lost. Now, some parents were very successful, alhamdulillah. Many were not. But by the time they got to their 2nd or 3rd children, they learned so much that now this child is attending the centers, they're coming out, they want to be part of the community, but it came at the price of a whole generation. So now what we're trying to do, guys, here is together, elders and youth together, establish Islam in this part of the world that doesn't want Islam established. And that's the difficult part. There's money being spent to make sure that you guys don't come near Islam. There's laws being put forth to make sure that you guys run from Islam. And here we're saying to establish that Islam in this system. And the example that my teacher gives us in the Hausa, a very beautiful example, is that what you guys are doing in the West is that you're being the Musa in Fir'aun's kingdom. It's a very beautiful example. And so instead of running from that, we should accept that challenge. Because the lizzat, the pleasure we get in going in sajda surrounded by shaitan, you won't get anywhere else. So I want us to understand that this is an extremely important topic, trying to establish an Islamic lifestyle in the West. It's difficult, it's not impossible. It's a huge topic, it's a massive topic. What I've done is I've broken it down to subtopics. So every day I'm going to present one dimension of this topic to all of you, assuming you'll take that and do what you can to apply it in your life, inshallah. Iksalat bihijja Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So I want us to understand where I'm coming from personally up here when I thought about this topic itself. Having said that, the very first thing I want us to realize, and the very first dimension that we have, is that we haven't figured out a balance between the dunya and the akhirat. And the one thing that our Ahlul Bayt have taught us is what's called moderation. Amra bain al-amrayn, that middle path. We are facing a crisis right now in the West amongst our youth, where we have a group of youth who have accepted Islam so far this way that they don't want anything to do with this dunya. Their beards are out to here. They don't eat any food from outside. There's always a tasbih in their hand. And they're just this extreme Muslims that give Islam a bad name in the West. I'm sorry to say that. The flip side of it is, the extreme is that we're so assimilated in this society, but there's no zahiran or no apparent symbol or sign of you being a Muslim. No hijab, no beard. Your name was Muhammad, it's now Mo. Right? Your name was Jafri, it's now Jeff. So any chance or any sort of sign of me being a Muslim, I don't want it. I want to be successful, I want to hang on to my green card. I don't want to be deported, I don't want to lose my passport, so I will sacrifice and sell my entire iman and deen just to please Mr. Obama. And that's one extreme. Our Ahlul Bayt taught us the middle ground. Don't be so far this way that you refuse to be part of this society. Don't be so far this way that you refuse to be part of Islam. There's a middle ground that we have to find, and we're not there yet. We haven't found that middle ground yet. That's why you'll see those guys who have found the light and found the path, you can't even talk to them anymore. They don't watch sports, they don't watch movies. It's like they're a hermit in a cave with a tasbih in their hand. The other side, like I said, is there's no sign in Islam. Mawla Ali Nahja Balagha Salawat Bi Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Imam Ali alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha has a beautiful hadith that goes along this line. He says, live for this world like you are to live for 1,000 years. At the same time, live for the akhirat as if you were to die tomorrow. He's trying to teach us to find a balance. And that balance is where we're lacking. And that balance is what we're going to try to achieve in 2 weeks. To try to figure out what it means to be a Muslim here in the West. How far do I go this way? How far do I go that way? The first misconception I want to remove from our youth's mind is this dunya is not important to you. We always hear in a hadith and in majalises and speeches that don't give this world any importance. And there's wisdom behind that. However, I don't want anybody here to understand or to take with you home that Islam doesn't allow you to live a good life. Islam says, if you do it the halal way, live in a huge house. Drive a sweet ride. Have the best clothes. Have the best shoes and the best purses. Go on vacations. Live your life in this world like you are the king, but with conditions. The first condition is extravagance. There are 3 of you in the household, mom, dad, and son, and the house fits 40 people. There are 2 drivers in the house and 4 cars in our driveway. There's 1 pair of feet and 40 pairs of shoes. Excessiveness, extravagance, Islam says no. Live a simple life, but live a comfortable life. The examples we'll give, sometimes we think that Islam is asking us to live a life of complete poverty. Ripped clothing, dirty shirts, broken down homes, broken down cars. Absolutely not. That's not what Islam wants from you. A man approached our first imam and he was dressed in complete patchy, ripped up clothing. Mawla Ali says, what is this huliyah? What's this condition you're in? He says, Mawla, I'm trying to follow you. And the hadith says that Imam Ali became angry at this man. He says, you've been blessed with wealth, and this is how you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He goes, if I am doing what I'm doing, I'm doing it for a certain reason. I am the wali of the time, I'm the khalifa of this land. I have my own wisdom behind why I do what I do, why I sew my shoes, why I patch my pants. You have been blessed with wealth by Allah. You thank Him by wearing the proper clothing, by living in a proper home, by driving a proper vehicle. This is your way of thanking Allah. So this misconception that Islam does not allow us to be wealthy individuals, remove that from your brain. Provided. Extravagance, halal risk, and all these things are in your mind. Now, 2 examples from history, inshallah, to bring this point home. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Two examples of individuals who are very wealthy, who use their wealth for